we got to talk about Man City because they're currently in the middle of the worst start Pep Guardiola has ever made to a Premier League season. They've got 34 points, which puts them in fourth place. They've never been in fourth place at this stage of the season. Their best points tally at this point in the season would be 49 points. So that's 15 points more than what they've got currently. That's the range that we're dealing with here. Now, they have actually had 35 points, which is one more than they've got now, and still won the league before. So they can still win the league. But we have to take notice of the fact that City are not looking that good this season, and I thought that there'd be a little drop off because of a couple of players that they lost, but this is the point now where I think they're not going to win the title. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Arsenal look too consistent. I don't think that the mental weakness that Arsenal showed at the end of last season is going to be there. I think the addition of Declan Rice is keeping them consistent. I think Liverpool are looking consistent, and I think the championship mentality that both of those teams have shown, Man City are not showing that right now. Giving away a 2-goal lead against Palace at home is absolutely unheard of for a Pep Guardiola side.
Do you know what I would say about City though? I remember it was very similar in 2021 season, sort of a half lockdown season. I think they're about 9th at about November. I think they made a really bad start. They lost 5-2 at home to Leicester, and I thought they were out of it. I think I did a video saying that Guardiola should probably move on. He's burnt out, he's stale. They won the league easily. Like, I think City are the only team in the Premier League who could go on a 15-game
Well, that's
winning
it.
run.
You'd never bet against them doing that.
I would. I'm going
this
to.
year.
No, I am because the clutch players that they relied on before, obviously Gundogan and Mahrez aren't there, and I've mentioned that many a times on this, but also Kevin De Bruyne, I don't think it's fair to put the level of pressure on him to just come back and can you just go on a 15 game? Like, he's had a lot of injuries, and as much as great as he is, he's one of the greatest of all time in the league, no doubt. I just don't think it's fair to him to expect that. And other people are underperforming. Like, has Doku come in and been what people said he was going to be? He's a good player.
He started well,
but a little bit Alan St. Maximin in that, he can do great tricks and he's effective and he's fun to watch. But is he going to run games for you the way Mahrez would? Is he going to have the impact in goals and assists the way Mahrez would?
The signings in general haven't really come hit the ground running.
You bring us on to the midfield because they played Lewis in midfield yesterday, the young lad who can play. I think he plays fullback sometimes. He plays all over because Pep likes to do that. But then you look on their bench, Calvin Phillips, a seasoned centre midfielder, sitting there, 50 million, sitting on the bench. Kovacic sitting on the bench. So like
Nunes
also
barely played a game.
So it isn't just down to injuries. It's also Pep being Pep. Pep likes to get overcomplicated sometimes. And Grealish, Foden, for me, are great players, but they were helped by the fact that they didn't have to carry the load while Mahrez, Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne were there.
Show what it is. On those signings, can anyone really name me a player other than Haaland who Pep signed for City and did have a world-class debut season? They all seem to struggle. Even Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Grealish, they all seem to start slow.
Grealish is a good footballer. I just don't think he's £100 million footballer.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
never
won the treble though, alongside.
No, he did, but alongside some of those great players, and Phil Foden.
Absolute Irish snake,
Phil Foden hasn't pushed on.
Exactly.
He hasn't.
Exactly. Foden is he's a complementary ingredient, but he ain't the main meat and potatoes of the situation. He's never going to be a Kevin De Bruyne level footballer. We're seeing he's Bellingham, for example.
I don't know,
as we said earlier this season, Bellingham is that guy who we thought Foden would be.
Do you know they should have kept? Cole Palmer. Should have kept it.
But I think defensively,
Foden's only 23.
No,
23 isn't young.
I'm not writing him off as a footballer.
Not like young.
No, but if let's just say he stays at City the rest of his career. That is young in his career because he could be there for another 10 years.
It's young in his career.
He could get to 27, 28 and we might still... I believe we're yet to still even see the best of Phil Foden.
I agree
and
with
he's
you.
still a quality player now.
I definitely agree with you, but I think like what you're saying about Bellingham, it's not just Bellingham. There's other players. You could even say Cole Palmer to extent who've gone elsewhere
don't
and
do that.
taken...
Let's not do that.
I'm not
I
saying...
swear you've had a foot.
We're not doing that.
I'm
Phil
not
Foden's
saying...
way more than Cole Palmer.
I'm not saying...
He's just a big fish in a shit pond at the moment.
Cole Palmer's been better than Foden.
But what I'm trying to say is these players who we're saying who are younger than Phil Foden have gone elsewhere and taken responsibility. Saka puts Arsenal on his back every week.
Yeah, but you could even argue Anthony Gordon's doing it.
But I could easily say that Saka or Cole Palmer, or I can easily say about Cole Palmer because they got rid of him, can't come into that City team and put that City team on their back.
But I'm saying that Foden has been there long enough now, and if you're Phil Foden, yeah, but what is he like? He's a 10, really. I know he's played wide, I know he plays here, there. He's a 10. If you're Phil Foden, really, since you came into that team 4 years ago, you've been looking at Kevin De Bruyne and going, one day I'm taking your seat.
It wasn't just Kevin De Bruyne though; it was David Silva as well. There were players there that were like, it was hard for him.
And he's not taking their seats.
Yeah, but we're talking about super some of the best players ever.
Phil Foden's a super talent.
You're talking about super talent. I know, but you're talking about back then when he was at 21, 20 years old, trying to take the mantle off of players like David Silva, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne. They weren't going nowhere until they went.
But now he's 23. Take it.
But it's only been what? But it's only been what, a third of a season? We're coming up to half of a season.
I've got a question though. Is there a worry and this is for English football as well? We all believe Foden's a mega talent. That's not what we're questioning. It's just the delivery on it. And I think Marcus Rashford is a mega talent, but he hasn't delivered on that yet. No. Has he? He scored plenty of goals. He set up, but he hasn't hit the heights. And I think that despite the age of Foden, he's in football years older than his actual ages, and we should be seeing the direction of the ceiling coming closer and closer now. And I just think that what we're seeing is he's just not willing to take the responsibility and be the main man, and I don't know if he can. But while we're on to him, there's also the defence. I just think that they're getting caught out by stupid mistakes.
They are.
Down that right-hand side against Palace, Walker was bombing forward. They were caught out behind there. Walker's getting on a bit as well. It's a lot of responsibility to be asking of him.
To be fair, it is nothing usual for City to slip up against Crystal Palace. They are their bogey team.
It's their bogey team.
But what is unusual is for them to concede 4 against Chelsea, for them not to beat Liverpool, not to beat Arsenal.
3-game winless run in the Premier League.
Yeah, Spurs. Do you see 3 games without a win in the Premier League?
Yeah, they went through without a win this season, haven't they?
Yeah. So
do you know one thing? You talk about the defence. One thing no one's talking about with Man City, they've got the most expensive defender in the world in Guardiola.
He's not hit the ground running again. We were talking about signings there that haven't hit the ground running. He's probably. I mean, look, I don't think he thought he was going to be playing left back a lot of the time. They've stuck him out. But again, he's not one that's hit the ground running.
But then again, though, John Stones hasn't really been fit. Diaz in there, but
I just think there's other moving parts around City. I agree with everyone at the table that City have not been the City we know, but we got to understand as well that in the Premier League, anything around them will affect what happens with them as well. So we don't know, and obviously I'm just talking hypotheticals here, but we don't know that if Arsenal, for example, get injury to Saliba again, or another key player like Saka, what that does for their season. Or Liverpool, if Liverpool lose Salah, or another key player in their team like Van Dijk, what it does for them.
No, you bang on.
I know right now they haven't had Kevin De Bruyne, who is probably the best player in the league. The last 2 games, they haven't had Haaland, who is arguably, he's the best number 9 in the league. If they have all their players, and everyone else has all their players, I think City win this thing. So I don't know, innit? I don't know if you're going to have your players the whole season. I don't know if Liverpool are.
I think you're right. It's down to that. I would still say at this point, if you had to ask me to put money on any team to win this league, probably say City.
Yeah, I agree. You've got the best squad. That's not what I'm disputing. I'm disputing that Pep Guardiola is not as good as what people say he is. And I'm looking
at you.
Brian,
let me land.
Brian, Pep's the best manager of all time.
The credentials.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go off of that.
In terms of medals and all of that,
you can't just slip that in as a fact.
Let me explain. I said I believe. I don't say it's a fact, but I think all of the credentials prove me wrong. Right. This is an opinion, but what I'm saying is I think he's outspent. He's a checkbook manager who's had the luxury of inheriting a hell of a team and spending another $1 billion on top of them. The issue is he's now coming up against Arteta and Klopp, who are used to working within their means more than he is, and are now getting closer to his squad level. Now that FFP is slowly withering down the gap between them, and I think that Pep's signings, like the players he didn't use yesterday, Phillips, Kovacic, on up to the standard of what he's left go in Gundogan, and it's coming back to haunt him, and I think it will come back to haunt him later this season, because when I'm watching games, I just feel like Arsenal are the favourites for the title.
Do you know why I disagree? I just think that going for the 4th one in a row, everyone knows, is just so difficult.
That's a fact, though.
You win 3 in a row. No one's ever done 4 in a row. They just done a treble. You've got to then galvanise this squad to go again, find the hunger levels again. It's very, very difficult. That's how I see this season.
Whilst having key injuries. Like very key injuries. You know what I mean?
I just
Having
think
Rodri out for time, De Bruyne out.
I take the point of he hasn't, the other managers, his competitors in Klopp and Arteta haven't spent as much as him. That's a fact. Like, no one can deny that. He's definitely had a checkbook. I'm not disputing that. But I just don't think you can question the quality of Pep Guardiola, man.
But you just alluded to yourself saying that where would they get the hunger from? I mean, getting 4 in a row. Like, no one's ever done that in the Premier League.
Yeah, but that's not easy to do. That's just not easy to do.
No, but you're sort of alluding to having no hunger. Where is the, you know, where's the motivation?
That is the challenge for Pep, though. That's what I'm saying. That is the challenge right now, to get them to go again and get that. But I don't think that's easy to do, and that's why it's never been done. Fergie couldn't do it. Who's done it? Who's done it?
I agree that that's a fact. That I put it more down to Pep Guardiola. Has a great reputation for being a great coach, but he relies heavily on personnel. He always has the best team in the league, and I think that this is the first time I've genuinely looked at their team and thought, are you the best squad in the league? Probably, but is it closer than usual? Yes. And I think that the skill gap between you and the managers that you've got all these more medals over isn't actually what the medals suggest it is. I think you've just been buying those medals and actually been able to outspend them. And if we actually found out the real level and you all had a similar playing field, you wouldn't actually beat them in these titles. A lot of the time would Pep beat them? Occasionally, yeah, but it would be a lot more evenly shared out, and I think that's what we're going to find out. That'll be proven this season.
From someone who's got sort of quite painful first-hand experience, we can't even buy a top 10 finish with £1 billion this season so far in Chelsea. So I do think that you've got to look at it in a way and go, yes, of course, the infrastructure's there, and you've always had the money, and you're right, he has always had the luxury of having the best squad probably, but at the same time, there's a balance in the middle. You've got to get things right.
And also improves them. He brings in good players, very, very talented players, but he always improves them, in my opinion.
Well, they have to improve, because if they don't, they get thrown away. Like £50 million defender after £50 million defender. See you later. Like the treatment of Phillips. Like, you either improve or you're out the fucking door. Like, Pep has this luxury that other managers just don't have. Like, the amount of players who are getting in this Liverpool team who Pep wouldn't even consider, and yet they're top of the league right now, speaks volumes.
The only thing with the Calvin Phillips one is I don't know whether Pep wanted him in the first place. Like, if he was any nationality but English, I'd be like, oh, you failed there. But because of obviously meeting the what is it, like in the squad you need X amount of English players, don't you?
I think Pep is quite picky with the Harry Maguire situation. Like, Pep must have all of the say at this point. I mean, you can't win 3 Premier Leagues in a row and not sign off on transfers at this stage. Like, he's earned the right to do that, but I could be wrong.
This season is going to be the biggest challenge of that. Like, this season, what City are doing now, they might go out and just throw 100 million quid at someone in January, and that's the difference.
There you go then.
Otherwise,
that proves my point.
They might do that. The other thing he might do, which we've seen him do before, is change something tactically in the second half of the season and work it out. And that's going to be the challenge for me. I kind of want to see him do that. I'd love to see him do something a bit different with his team.
What are we relying on, really, though?
He always switches up the tactics.
No, we're relying on Kevin De Bruyne coming back and
saying.
saving Pep's arse. That's what we're relying on. It's on De Bruyne to come back and provide for Haaland. If he doesn't, they're fucked, in my opinion.
And if he did go and spend that 100 million, we've all just said, like, no player really hits the ground running for Pep. So it may not even change things this season for him if he goes and spends that 100 million.
Paqueta would be, though. I mean, is that who
Paqueta doesn't turn this City team all of a sudden into twice the team they are at the minute. And look, they don't need to be twice the team they are at the minute to then go on and potentially even win the title. They may even still do so here, but I think you need a bit more than just Paqueta to...
I don't know, though, man. It's a weird one at the moment where he was the guy that they didn't get in the summer. He was the guy they were linked with. And you kind of go, well, okay, you want to... Like, say they do want to replace De Bruyne. Who is that guy? If it's not Paqueta, who is it?
I don't know.
No, this is it, man. No one's got any names anymore.
I mean, why are we placing such... I know De Bruyne's been unbelievable, but this City team... I remember when they got 100 points. They didn't have De Bruyne for half that season. He was injured in November, was out for it, and they got 100 points. They were the Centurions. Like, they don't... The whole team doesn't revolve all just around De Bruyne.
It doesn't, but he is the best player. Who's better than him in the league?
I'm not saying
not only does he elevate things, he also elevates Haaland.
All I'm saying is that they can win games without De Bruyne. They can't.
I think in previous seasons they've had better players around De Bruyne to step up when he's out.
Exactly, like I said. I said last week, statistically, De Bruyne was their biggest goals and assist contributor from midfield, but third and fourth were Gundogan and Mahrez, and they're not here. So you got to have Doku step up, Foden step up, Grealish step up, and we're not seeing that.
Yeah, clutch moment players as well.
Yeah, and this is that's where I look at the myth of Guardiola and say, like, yeah, he's a great manager, and I have no doubt that in seasons he would have outdone Arteta and Klopp, but the gap is nowhere near what people think it is because he's always had the best squad and the best players.
But there is a gap.
It's not a myth.
Because there's
not a myth. He's the greatest of all time.
Nah, but there's
there's
not a
No, I think he is the greatest of all time. I can't argue with that, but I just don't think that the skill gap is really where it is.
I don't think you could pick a single manager in the Premier League right now, put him into Man City in 2016 and they have the same success or anything close to it.
No,
I don't think so. Maybe Klopp would be the next best, but
even Klopp, and see, it's gonna sound like I've disrespected Klopp. I don't want to disrespect Klopp. I like Klopp, but how long has Klopp been at Liverpool now?
8 years.
8. You sure it's not more?
No, 2015.
So it's 1 year. He's been there 1 year more than Pep's been at Man City, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
1 Premier League title.
We can't ignore though, like, the spending gap between Klopp and it's literally like, yeah, we're going to tie one hand behind your back, we're going to have a fucking boxing match, see how it goes, yeah? Like, there's no way Klopp was ever in the same planet as Pep was in terms of money. And look, the more FFP come down on it, that's the one bonus is coaching and talent ID and the real, issues managers have got to face on a daily basis will not just be bailed out by we've got more money than you. And as much as a Newcastle fan, I should not want that to be. I think it's better for the sport.
Yeah, but how much was Van Dijk?
Mate, you're going to literally use the exception to the rule. That doesn't disprove the rule.
How much is Alisson? He still spent money, Klopp,
you literally, it's like there's only 2 players.
No, but he spent money.
Yeah,
he spent money.
But like, it's like I shop at Phoenix, you shop at fucking Gucci, mate. Like, Phoenix is
it's more. No, you're going too far. It's more like I don't know. He's in Harrods and he's in Selfridges. It's not that much of a difference. I don't think there is. But obviously, Pep spent a lot more money than Klopp. There's no denying that. But Klopp, like, how many other teams in the league spent more than Klopp?
Like a lot of them, a lot.
Oh no, in his tenure since he's been there.
Like, for example,
5 teams.
Like, I'll put it. This is the best stat I've got off the top of my head.
Sure.
Ten Hag already has spent more net spend than Klopp has in a year and a half.
They're a joke, dog.
Like, okay, I'm just giving.
Okay.
So, like, before we finish on this topic, does anyone here, along with myself, think Man City don't win the title this year?
I think no. Honestly, after yesterday's result, I think there is a chance they don't win this league now. Whereas every other week before this week, I thought City's got this still. No matter what's happening, still got this. But that result yesterday, to me, and even watching his interview after the game, he just looked a bit. He looked a bit edgy. He looked a bit like he's biting.
Do you not think the last few weeks though, like, for example, with Pep in seasons gone by, he's always gone, do you know, it's going to be really hard. We're going to have to fight. It's going to be almost patronising because we're all like, bro, we know you got the best fucking team in the land. Like, stop trying to act like this is going to be hard for you. Like, everything's in your advantage. And yet he's done the opposite this season. There was a question went to him and he went, yeah, I think we're going to win the league. And I thought, oh, you're actually fucking scared. Like, and I'm good with this shit. Fighting wise, I see through fighter interviews. It's one of my best attributes when I look at things, and I could tell immediately you're rattled here. And I do think he's very aware that this is going to be one of the hardest ones.
Definitely.
Anyone think they definitely win the league still?
That's one thing I can say for sure. Like, normally, especially even last season when Arsenal were giving it a right good go, I'm normally always sat there like, City are going to win it, man. They're going to win it. They're going to win it. And this season, I can't say they don't win the league, but I'm definitely not sat here feeling that.
I just think if there was another, if there was, I don't know. It's like what you said earlier. You said no one really wants to win this league. Like, there's not a team out there who I think could step in and fill that void.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a fun.
Liverpool are struggling right here against Man United.
Liverpool have only lost 1 this season, though. You're saying there's not a team out there. I mean, they're doing pretty fucking.
But this isn't Liverpool like in 18-19 Liverpool. This
doesn't need to be though. If Man City don't go on this run that we're all predicting, like we're all sitting there thinking, yeah, but they'll go on a 13-14 game run. If it doesn't happen, then Liverpool don't need to be. Liverpool don't even need to be as good as the season they finished second and we're unlucky to miss out.
This is the weird thing about this season. Arteta and Klopp are both be in a weird situation now where they will realise that this is their biggest opportunity in a very long time. Like we've just said, Klopp's legacy.
No, last season was Arteta's biggest opportunity. You spent the whole season top of the league. I was convinced Arsenal were going to win the league last season. I didn't think City were going to win it.
Are City better this year or last year?
Last year.
They were better last year. So this year is a better opportunity to win the league.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Look, the whole of last season, how many days did I'm not trying to do it for how many days did Arsenal spend top of the league? Last year, I was convinced Arsenal were winning the league. You couldn't have told me Man City were winning the league. They were so far behind at one point.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it's going to take a lower points tally this season to win this Premier League title.
To your point,
it's going to take a lower
Man City had 5 draws, 5 defeats last season, and the other 28 were all wins, right? This season, Man City have already got 4 draws and 3 defeats. So they're nowhere near on schedule.
The reason I think City might still win it is because I don't think either Liverpool or Arsenal are perfectly poised to take advantage of what's happening at City right now. I think Liverpool, if you're asking Liverpool fans, they'll tell you they've done a midfield rebuild this summer. And if you look at their front three, it's like what we were saying about Núñez. I still don't think they've completely settled on a new front line after the Mane, Salah, Firmino front line moved on, right? Arsenal, kind of similar. We've kind of done a bit of a midfield rebuild ourselves. We bought, Rice and Havertz in, Partey and Xhaka have kind of gone out. So we like, I get what you're saying, Craig, that we were top of the league last season. We've made some big changes to our team this season to prepare for Champions League football in the same way that Liverpool have had to rip things up in their midfield and start again. So I think the frustrating thing for both Klopp and Arteta is they'll be going, Christ, like this is the year where you could get City. This is the year where they're not going to get 98 points, 96 points, whatever it is, right? Neither team are properly prepared to take advantage of that now.
Yeah.